New video. I apologize, I'm a little under the weather, but I want to show you this deck, which first try I was able to get 12 wins. It was actually a deck that I did not create myself. I saw it in a 1,000 man tournament. It was actually the Adult Esports Invitational, and this deck actually placed 3 times in the top 10. I forget which day it was, but if you go back, if they have saved it on stream, I'm sure you can find a few gameplays with it. However, I am going to be showing a couple of replays, but first I just want to talk about the deck. It looks awkward at first sight. I would have said it's awkward. You can see my battle log. I played a lot of mirror decks and chip decks, and everybody else using poison, and it actually did very, very well. It's interesting because a lot of these decks that I play against were decks I used to use. And the only ones that actually gave me trouble were the balloon decks. So again, this is a very awkward deck if you just look at it, but it has some amazing synergies when you actually play it. And the biggest thing I want to talk about is the Barbarian Hut. In ladder, Royal GGs wreck the Barb Hut, but in tournaments, there are not as many Royal Giants, so the Barb Hut is actually a huge value card. Maybe that'll bring Royal Giant into the meta, who knows? But what I can say is that the Barb Hut is a very interesting card. The best way I can explain it is you want to get as much value out of it as possible, and the way to do that is to get to about the third or fourth wave. It's a very expensive card to use, but as you can see, with one wave, it's able to shut down a 4 elixir card. This is a really interesting play I make right here. If you notice where I put this Musketeer, it gets hit once, it gets hit twice, and then the bowler doesn't care about it anymore, but it still gets one more shot off. So he's forced to log to take it out, which is not that big of a deal. I've only taken log damage, and now I'm able to get a graveyard push. Probably not the best time graveyard push, but him adding in that Electro Wizard is giving me a little bit of value on my poison, so I'm not too worried about it. But that bowler is going to be a difficult card for me to get around. But knowing that his Electro is out of rotation, that's really important, because now I can play minions, because he doesn't have anything that can do damage to my air troops. Well, aside from poison, but he missed. That was a mistake. He ended up missing my tower and missing the minions. He didn't really get that much damage off on the Barbarian Hut. I don't even know if it would have spawned one more due to where it was in its lifespan. So again, we're going to get a Barb Hut down, and the way I'm thinking about this card is it's similar to an Elixir Collector. It gives you a passive Elixir advantage, and there are many guides about how buildings give you an Elixir advantage over time. But the Barbarian Hut is very interesting because I feel like at this point in the meta, not that many people understand how to counter it. In fact, I'm not really sure myself when I face Barbarian Huts. I'm not exactly sure what's the most efficient way to counter it. And I'm sure that it'll develop, and over time, we'll see it really build. So right here, knowing that his Electro Wizard is on the left lane, as well as his Bowler going down the left lane, I'm able to attack the other lane and get a little bit of damage off there, but still not nearly enough to take a tower. And you're seeing I keep splitting my minions in the back. I just really didn't have a place to put them, and as soon as they get onto the other side of the map, they don't really do much. My Musketeer right there was luckily targeting the troop I wanted to target. My minions right here are doing pretty well. He didn't have enough to poison them down at the time he wanted to poison them down. Again, he keeps playing these bowlers down that lane, and finally he played a bowler after I played my Electro, so I'm looking to get a permastun off, and you can see what's happening. But he wasn't targeting my Electro, so he ended up getting a rock off. But that log was an interesting log on his part, but my log, I was able to just take a little bit of chip damage as well as finish off his troops that were bothering me. Right here, I made a misplay. I dropped my minions knowing that he wants to get poison, and then I dropped my Electro Wizard way too soon. I could have waited for it to build up a little bit. I had those barbarians. I really didn't need to do that. So it was a little bit greedy, and I ended up paying the price because I did not need to do it, and my Electro did not survive. We've got a lot of Barb Huts. We're getting ready to build up more on the Barb Hut, and this time I thought I could get my Musketeer down, and coincidentally he put his poison just where it barely clipped me, forcing me to use my poison as well. Knowing that he's low on Elixir, I'm able to get these minions off. His Electro Wizard was not in rotation. I get a log off, get a little bit of chip damage. As started getting a little bit worried. But the Electro Wizard has saved the day. And here's where I know I'm getting ready to finish it off. He doesn't have much to counter. He's got an Electro Wizard, but it's not going to be enough. The poison just does way too much damage. He's forced to use poison, and that's a good game. So overall, this deck is a very interesting deck, and I feel like the places where you can go wrong are getting your Barb Hut down too early and not knowing what cards are in their hand. This last game, I was actually playing a chip deck. It was a Minor Goblin Barrel deck, which in the previous meta, the Minor Rocket, the Minor Poison, and the Minor Goblin Barrel really were trouble for me because I was running Graveyard, Bowler, and Executioner, and almost always I just did not have a proper counter for that, and my deck just got railed. So I had to start using it myself. So right away, we're both starting out really cautiously. This is kind of bad news for me. He's got a Furnace, which is not the best thing for me to see. Right here, I didn't really have a proper counter, but he did make a mistake by playing them all together, so I took 0 damage. Typically, you don't want to play your first one together unless you're going to overthrow it to try and prediction a log. But here, I had a lot of elixir, but I really wanted to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes, and I had a log if I had to use it to take some damage, but the Ice Golem was able to take everything out. I wanted a little bit of chip damage. I know that I wasn't going to get my Musketeer over there anyway, so I didn't want it to take any damage so that my tower could take out whatever he played. So that log wasn't greedy. It was I wanted to get rid of the Princess to allow for my Musketeer to be able to deal a little bit of damage to whatever he put down, because I knew it wasn't going to just go unanswered. This is a good Furnace. However, I have so many troops on this Furnace, it's not going to get much value after all of the troops die. That was a mistake. I did not need to play that Musketeer. I didn't realize that my minions were going to live with so much health. And here's where it's starting to go a little bit downhill for him. He played his minions too aggressively, and he wasn't able to counter the Graveyard. He took a lot more damage than I've taken so far. So at this point, I finally pull ahead, and we're getting ready to go to double elixir, which is where I believe this deck shines. If you haven't noticed, his Inferno Tower is getting no value. Even though I have a heavy troop, being the Barbarian Hut, I don't have a troop that's worth Infernoing, unless you were going to Inferno a Musketeer or an Ice Golem, which I usually don't recommend as your first option. This Ice Golem really got a lot of value for me. I was able to take out that Princess, and here's where it starts to go downhill. We get a poison off. Unfortunately, the poison was one tile too far, and that one minion survived, or I would have been able to take down that tower in that push. But it's alright, I have 30 more seconds. And this is when I start getting some value. That log got so much value. It was really exciting. I sat at full elixir for so long, knowing that I just need to play slow and cautiously, and I'll be able to finish this game off. The Ice Golem to distract minions is pretty ridiculous. He had to get aggressive. He knew that I was going to be able to take down his tower before he could take down my tower, and ultimately it led to a good game for me. So I hope you like this deck. I'm going to write a short write-up and probably post a guide on Reddit. I think that this deck can very capably take to the top of ladder, and of course it was a 12 win, so I'm going to open this chest really quick, and then after that, that's about all I got for you guys today. I hope this deck works for you. Doesn't work as well in ladder. It works really well in challenges. And hey, there's some Battling Rams. One of my other decks uses Battling Ram, and it is not nearly as good as this deck. But let's see what we get. Executioner. Okay, I can get down with that. I need 9 more for level 6, and then I have basically all level 6 epics. So I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.